So, this next segment is pre recorded. I tried to find the right words time and again as to explain what happened, what I experienced and realized, and the decisions I've made from it. However, it's difficult to articulate. Some things demand to be spoken, but are the hardest to say. Some words, thoughts, and truths that should be known to you, that you should feel right to speak, become sticky with fear and cling to your throat, caught in the spiraling depths of your anxiety, and stay unspoken until the silence of their absence is deafening to you, keeping you from anything but hearing those words until they finally spill out and you are forced to face the cold, quiet calm of peace, having not known such a thing for so long. As you can imagine from this metaphor, I will do the best I can to find that calm here and soldier through what I have written. However, as you can imagine from that metaphor, it will be verbose and likely confusing, and this is the best pass I've made of it. Such is life. To give context, I should go back to when I became cursed as I saw it, to become a Yaogwai, a malevolent spirit. Around a decade ago, I was gifted a signet stamp as a souvenir from some people who were very dear to me. Family by choice, thing I've always been strongly a thing for. As a little tarnished bronze rat and stamped the word Yaogwai. I still have it actually. It's a lovely piece, and I use it now and then to sign things because it's fun. Not long after, I did notice something was happening to me, and once it dawned on me, the curse fell upon me in an instant. My body dissolved into chi, and I became a strange ghost, a malevolent spirit. I became a Yaogwai, a being that hungers and thirsts but is never satisfied. Kind of foretold by the signet stamp, really. My outward form was that of an immense green rat with eyes like purple voids and claws that burned like embers. Unfortunately, I had no PTO banked, so I still had to go to work. Thankfully, I worked nights at a gas station, so really it didn't change much. In time, I came to understand why my form was as it is. Being born in 84, I was a year of the rat, and the element was wood. And my birth month of June is a month of early summer and thus tied to fire. Also, horse. Not sure how the horse worked out, but I think it was mostly fire. Feng Shui is a whole thing, guys, and to this day I'm still learning so much about it and the Tao. Slowly, I had learned to use my energy to form simple illusions that worked on the kind of person that goes to a gas station at 3 a.m., but really had a hard time going out and feeling safe. It was really easy to feel exposed under normal circumstances, but when you're a big monster rat, yeah. It'd been a few years at this point, and my memory of what I looked like was slipping. I don't take a lot of photos, and I never took selfies as I never liked what I looked like to begin with. But I could craft an image that would let me go out safely for short periods at least, and I tried to be human again. However, I was starting to lose my grip on what human even meant. Did I have humanity as a monster? Are things that I saw as humanity common traits of sentience, intelligence? Regardless, at some point I had to accept that I wasn't human. I wasn't even fully corporeal. I was what I had kind of always seen myself to be, a monster. After 3 long years of trying to be what I thought I was, I accepted what I'd become and joined the supernatural community. I mean, I still worked nights at a gas station, but still had Jack for PTO, and Rent doesn't care if you're a burning clawed rat monster. Capitalism, yay! I didn't know much about being a spirit from Taoist theology, it wasn't my course of study, and still don't know as much as I should. Really isn't my course of study. However, it turns out that I had a good amount of understanding of the workings of the Fey courts. I do not know what Jim Butcher has done in his life, but Dresden Files really hits close to true on so much. In a short time, I found myself in a position to perform a task for a powerful member of the Autumn Court, a subservient court to Winter, and found that some Fae could gift glamours, magic of disguise and illusion, even to non-Fae. For my task, I had asked for a glamour of equal power to the task itself and my success. And through a series of events, best summed up by luck, will, and sheer tomfuckery, I ended up with a glamour of a prince of the Autumn Courts, specifically Yorland, the scion of the Wild Hunt. The Court of the Hunt, of course. This will probably bite me in the ass at some point, as taking power of his son from him and bonding it to an outsider of the courts by contract is. The Elk King is not happy. Let's say that. I honestly probably only got out of there because his outrage put many others into good positions and dispositions, which kind of put them in a situation where they indirectly owed me. Including my artificer, who has requested to remain unnamed in my ramblings of inane sadness for the time being. I knew I needed some way of interfacing the Western Fey Arcanum with Taoist Qi, and to work this gift of the court, I had commissioned the control gem from somebody who was quite bemused by the events that unfolded. The one I have here between my throat and chest. The payment for such a device and its installation was what seemed pretty minor at the time, but certainly unexpected, as for some time now I have been unable to resist singing under certain circumstances. I'm not going to tell you people what they are, but you've already hit a couple of them, so hooray. This is probably because it's cheery and makes me look like a bumbling ass, making the insult to the court of the hunt even worse, making the artificer even happier. Just don't deal with fake kids. Sorry, Foxy. The control gem was meant to implant in my Adam's apple, so it'd be where my voice is formed and listen to my commands. At the time, I thought it was an accident that it had been implanted lower, making it less reliable, but it turns out that the Fae also deal in foreshadowing as a bonus. Because it's Fae magic, and at this point I had lost even the slightest grasp on what I used to look like, the best I could do was solidify a form that felt good. This form, specifically. Slight, elven, twinky. I mean, it's a Fae glamour, it's gonna look elven. There are a couple of things that couldn't work, of course. Eyes are the windows to the soul, so unless you're from a specific bloodline that deals with the mortals and lives among them, you cannot shield those. Um, the ears are pointy, pointier than I think humans usually have, but at least they're not big and round. And, well, I gave up on the teeth. Teeth are hard to model, like super hard. So, just didn't bother. I used this glamour and this form to interact with humanity well and live something of a normal life, save for the occasional contact with my fellow myths and legends. But in time, I found that my sense of self was still fake. Wrong even for an illusion, and I ended up becoming withdrawn. I dove into gaming and to work, now working for a certain insurance company, and my only social contact was from people who I trusted with my secret. Eventually, it was all too much, and I knew I had to try and reconnect. I felt, even if I didn't know what humanity was, I had lost something that allowed me to connect with humanity. I mean, an anxiety attack shouldn't happen when you order fast food. You should reserve those for doing taxes and looking through your spells in D&D while the DM looks directly at you. When the pandemic started, it was hard to put myself out there, so I joined a couple of communities and then took the first step that led me here today, to you lovely people, by becoming a streamer. At first, it was to fight my anxiety, since every time you hit go live, you also give your horrid little brain goblin that tells you all the terrible things about you the middle finger. Soon, I had come to find that I had met some of the best people I ever could have. And moreover, I met people like me. People of a community overlooked by society until it was time to malign someone. And I came to learn more about myself and learned about the supernatural VTubers on Twitch. Also the furries. There's a lot of those. I'm sorry, if you're a cat girl or a bunny person, you're probably a furry. Hearing the stories of people made it so I didn't feel alone. I felt seen, and safely so, for the first time, not since I had become a Yao Guai, but from long before that. I have a long standing history of being unseen and then feeling extremely seen, being made to be quiet until it was time to, well, anyway, here I felt different. It wasn't the same. I felt accepted. No matter who or what I was, I felt like I belonged, and I had people like me. And truly, this was kinda when everything went to shit. It wasn't long after joining some communities here that I had more and more stuff happening on stream. Magic can interfere with technology. Once again, Butcher got it right. And there seemed to be something acting up with my glamour to cause feedback into my PC. And when I tried projecting it through VR into Twitch directly, it was even worse. My first VR stream was rough, and the second one completely failed for that. Just completely failed for it. I tried sorting out the problem on my end, but they don't exactly give you user manuals with artifacts. And despite being a magic monster for around a decade at this point, I still didn't really know dick about being a magic monster. There seemed to be less feedback, though, if I softened the form a bit, so I designed costumes that were increasingly less masculine until I felt the feedback go away. For a while, it was pretty good, and I thought I was okay. Until about 6 months ago, during the last Skyrim VR stream, everything just kinda went to hell. My image morphed and shifted. As some of you saw, the game lagged, everything lagged, audio fucked up. And it all got so distorted, I ended up not only having to force shutdown on my PC, but also on the control gem itself. I took time off from streaming to go talk to my artificer and see what was up with her damned contraption. I was supposed to come back in March, giving myself a couple of months to resolve this, and if it was a matter of just talking to the artificer and getting something sorted, that would have worked. But that time gave me time to find, well, yeah. So I reached out to a lady friend who's known to the Fae and speaks their language better than I do. Their words are one thing, but when dealing with anything contractual, Fae speak becomes rhymes and lyrics and limericks that wrap in on themselves over and over like recursive Ouroboros iPod headphones. And I did not then, nor do now, nor will ever have time to untangle the words of magical lit majors. I pressed my artificer for an answer, got a little heated to be honest, and did apologize. I was upset and frustrated beyond belief that the gem never worked right because I asked for it to be implanted in my throat, my statement being clear to me so that it will heed the truth of my words. Which is when I was told that this is why it was in fact planted lower. The truth of words aren't spoken from the throat, I was told. The gem wasn't failing, and the glamour wasn't rebelling, acting on its own intelligence. The problem was within me. I was out of balance. Being of the Tao, my yin and yang were in conflict, and there was something creating instability in me that caused feedback and broke, quote, the shell of words I shelter in through my storm of memories. That shit. That shit right there. That is the clearest it was said, and that's still a mess, right? Like that. Don't deal with the fake kids. Sorry, Foxy, but don't. Anyway, so I apologize, this is all rambly. So until my inner conflict was resolved, your favorite big queer monster here would keep having failures and keep having feedback, and the glamour would falter. I was told to start with contemplating why I became a Yao Guai and to follow that thread to what's tied to the other end of it. To find where the thread leads me and to what lurks deep inside and end the conflict. Embrace it or kill it, it doesn't matter, just so long as it's done, so I can find my balance. This last part's the hardest to say. I'm sorry if even my best attempt here falters. Despite being what I am for so long, I never accepted that it was anything but a curse. That I was anything other than the monster deep down, and as such tried to hide it. There was always a horrid beast that craved power for itself, as a Yao Guai would. I hated what I was to the core of me. At the core of me. And the frustration, the loathing, shame, and hate, and hurt. It was all too much. To know there's something within you that you could never accept, that you could never see as anything but something that destroys you. It becomes too much to bear. So much so that you run out of ways to scream into the void to soothe it. And the words of your suffering and sorrow, sticky with dread and fear and shame, cling to your throat and threaten to choke the life from you. To leave you as wood upon a pyre, unable to escape its self-destruction. There comes a time for everyone where all within overwhelms you and rips its way out. And you have no choice but to face it, to see it for what it is, and either embrace this dark, twisted thing that you've let grow and fester in deafening silence, or to kill it, or to let it kill you. Not being one for suicide myself, I really had one of two options. And that's what I went to do. I thought of the cursed monster of me, the turmoil and pain inflicted upon myself. I felt the suffering raw once again in the silence, and I reached within, found that thread, and I found what was inside. I found the core of my turmoil, and in that instant, I knew two absolute truths I couldn't ever face before, but that I had to see now. There was no other option, no way, not just no way forward, but no way back. There was no other path than to let those words escape, let the truth be seen, so that the deafening silence could end. The first truth I found was that the thing within me was not a monster. It was a child, a scared, small little thing that had been held deep within for so long that it only knew the darkness and the silence. And the second truth, self evident from the first, was that I was the monster. I was the monster I needed as a child. To keep the child safe from a world, from a time and a place where it would have never known peace, or love, or hope. Even if it could articulate the words to describe itself, it would only know fear and destruction. I, the Yao Guai, wasn't who we were. And that was the conflict, the turmoil. My darlings and dear hearts, I am not real. But they are. They are who I was to be. And they are who I will be. Who we should have been all along, but couldn't. Until now, I am the monster that I needed as a child, but the child no longer needs its monster. So now is a time of change, of rebirth. Time for the child to step from the darkness and grow, blossom in the light. Time for me to embrace who I was to be and kill what I am now. To give love without hesitation to who I am, and to finally find the peace that I've fought for longer than some of you have even been alive. Since before I was a Yao Guai, but always was the monster. I need to let go of faded memories and tattered shreds of a man who never was. But please know, I will never let go of the memories of you. And while now I kindly scatter, please give the one that comes after me the grace and love you showed this big queer monster. Because they've been waiting a long time for it, and a long time to meet you, lovely lot. Eorlund, son of the Earl King, scion of the Hunt, I release you from your contract.